Hey guys, I want to talk about the 1,000 Strong Army project. For those of you who got involved, I'm going to update you shortly on where we are. For those of you who don't know what it is, the 1,000 Strong Army was an idea that if we can get 1,000 of those watching us on YouTube and supporting us to commit to fundraising $1 a day for 3 months, that we would be able to acquire the land that we need to make Featherstail Children's Village food self-sufficient. That would mean that we can grow 85% of all our own food needs, is where we've calculated it, from the land that we would be able to buy. We would also aim to create employment for our children from Angels Gate, the home for the street involved children, and our special needs children, by starting a social enterprise. That social enterprise would be based around tourism. Due to my connection with the Maasai, we can offer things that the average tour company cannot, and we really think it's a great idea for that. Also for the benefit to the children. To go from being a special needs child locked in a room as a child to becoming a tour guide for some of the most beautiful parts of the world, it speaks for itself. The change for their lives is phenomenal, whilst generating income and also whilst supporting the projects. It would be finding employment for the children who leave our care. The goal first, however, is the farm, and the reason for that is it's the fastest impact. If we acquire the land, and in acquiring the land we fence it off, we put our water well in there, then we save the money from our weekly food bill, and our weekly food bill is $1,100 a week for all of the children. So that money, even if all the sponsors cancelled, that money could then be geared into our social enterprise and make that build up. So we see the farming as the most relevant first. Also, on the other side of things, there is an element of security here, and the existence of Featherstail is to provide a stability and a security and a safety for lives who have not had it. Now, all of the children in our care and the single mothers who live there with their children, they are fully aware of the charitable situation that they are in. Now, a standard Tanzanian family would have land to farm, and that land would be a foundation of safety for that family, as it is for 90+% of Tanzanians. If we have the land, in the eventuality that anything happens, if there's a financial crash, if something happens to the charity, whatever it may be, whatever could happen. We've been through a financial crash in my lifetime already, and I can imagine if that happens that everybody will suffer and the ability to share will go. We can then fall back on the land, and even if it's not the perfect situation, at least nobody would starve. Now, the long-term goal would be to get enough land that we can even farm and sell produce at market, to in turn be able to pay for medical bills and cut off another necessity for donations. All of the women know how to farm, and those who don't can be taught, but Featherstail can't employ every woman who comes into their care. It's not possible. Now, we employ most because we need them. As the expansion comes, we know the best caregivers, the most empathetic, tend to be the mothers who have had special needs children and raised them, because they've had training. Ultimately, it's like the best training you can get. But for those who can't work for us because we don't have a position, or perhaps they're not suitable, or they don't want to, then working outside on the fields, etc., is another option. So aside from being able to leave the children in the care of the caregivers whilst they go out and work for other persons and self-enterprises or whatever, they would also be able to work that land. But not only that, we would have a section for cash crops, meaning that those women who don't have an income as a salary can grow things like blueberries, etc., and we can put them on market. They can put them on market. They can learn business self-sustainability, and ultimately this land would support those women as well. So the long, bigger term goal is that as our children get older and become adults, there's no areas with wheelchair access for children in Tanzania unless you go to the towns and cities. Now, what we want to do, long-term goal, is imagine you zoom out and you look down on 10 acres worth of land, and we build individual small rooms which normal Tanzanians live in. They live in 1 or 2 rooms with a toilet. or with a shared communal toilet. And we can set paths and wheelchair access, and then our disabled children, as they mature, they also can live somewhere where they can farm, and they can have keyhole farming where it's up a height and they can access it and grow their own foods and be as self-supporting as possible. That's the long-term step that we need as the children get older. We have some who now are 17 studying. Soon they'll be gone and out of studying. We need to find a way for those children to live, who will be young adults by then, or adults. So that's the big global, that's the big plan of everything, so you understand where Feather's Tail is going. But for now, the 1,000 strong army is $1 a day from 1,000 people who can commit to that. Even 50 cents a day for 6 months is also welcome, but quite simply, we need to find this sustainability, and we have to do it as soon as we can, and it's a necessity for everyone's peace of mind. But also, I think one of the interesting things is there's a videographer will make a documentary about this when it manifests and is clear, because we want to show the world that humanity's problems lay with the individual. It's very easy to look to the rich guy and say he should sort out the problems because I'm working class in America and in Europe, and the rich person should. But when you reflect the working class person and their disposable income against a child labourer, the disparity is equal. It's akin to the disparity between the millionaire to the working class European or American versus the working class European American and a child labourer. And that $1 a day, for some people it's unaffordable, I know that, but for others I think really we wouldn't feel the damage of that too heavily if we have a paid job back in Europe. But the impact we can show with that, we can create a self-sustaining community which supports the most impoverished and vulnerable aspects of humanity, and in doing so you create a new blueprint for how charity in this form should be. Because once Feather's Tail does that, I will be able to go through the records and tell with my blueprint, this is how much it costs to make Feather's Tail, this is the management team that you need in place to make it work on a skeleton team, this is the amount of buildings you need, this is the land you need, and you can transplant that everywhere. And special needs persons all over the planet are in trouble. They are just in as much trouble as what they are in Tanzania. You know, you can do it all over any part of the developing world. You could transplant this, and I think that gives humanity some boost to say, hey, we can start really having an impact on bringing up the lives of those behind us who have not yet, due to our development, etc., reached a level of even humane living, because most people are suffering so deeply. So this is what 1,000 strong army is, and it is something that's fully achievable. We know it is. We're just hoping that we get 1,000 hearts to agree. Those of you who have been involved, we have raised $7,000, so 7% of our goal, and it is saved in a bank account to one side, and we will potentially use this initially. We have a person in the background who, as of yet, I'd say 90% he's going to support us in quite a big way, but until it happens I cannot say. It's another foundation, and I'll tell that story when it comes, but as yet it hasn't fully manifest, but I believe it's about to, and when it does, that will also add to this pot in quite a big way. And if we get that, and I can share that with you all, you'll see then how fast we can have this impact. And that $7,000 will go in with the rest of the money when the time comes. We don't want to buy land in bits and pieces, because of, obviously, like anything, if you buy 20 acres all at once, it's cheaper than buying 1 acre, and that's what we want to aim to do. So that is the 1,000 strong army. If you can get involved, then we would love for you to do so and join us in trying to make the lives of these children bearable, those who are not with us, to give them access to a community that works, and even to inspire the world that there's a way to solve this problem. We just have to rally together and solve it together and stop hoping for the next guy to do it. The change does come from within. It truly comes from within, and I learned that when I got to Tanzania. I used to think that wealthy people should be sorting these problems out, until I met a child labourer and I said, a millionaire to me in Europe is no different to me to this child, but I am not doing anything here. And this is what I learned very, very quickly, is that the change for humanity does come from within ourselves. And God only knows how many children are out there, but if you've seen the recent videos from Outreach, they speak for themselves. These solutions must be found, and I find it as a moral duty for myself as a human that I have to do my absolute best to do something about this. So that's the goal, that's the plan, and I hope you can get involved with us. And those of you who are wondering what was going on, sorry you hadn't heard anything. Everything got a little bit crazy, and we are trying to find a posting schedule with our team, and we think that's going to slot into place nicely. As you can see, the videographer is starting to pick up now his job. He's able to go out with the team and get footage of what's actually going on every day, which we need to do because we need the income for these extra souls who need to find refuge with us. So you will be more updated on 1,000 Strong Army, and everything that was written down in the first plan should come to manifest in the next coming weeks, meaning we have a community group on Facebook, or we don't know where to have that community group. Somehow or another we're going to have a community group, and it will be used to discuss fundraising ideas, what people are doing, and also to say, hey, this week I just gave up 2 takeaway coffees and I put the $7 in that way. So anything will go in the group in that sense, just to discuss and motivate one another to get this done. And even I myself, I'm going to try and cut $1 a day from my living costs when I'm in Tanzania, and show you how I've done that, if I can do that, because we don't live on a lot in Tanzania as it is, but I'm going to give it a go. So okay, that was all. God bless, guys.